I know there's been some updates late in the afternoon today. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Benny, lots of new developments in the investigation into the death of George Floyd, who was in the custody of the Minneapolis Police Department on Monday when he passed away. And first, let's start with new body cam video released today showing parts of Floyd's arrest.
What'd you guys take out of the car? Cigarettes? You got your personal items?
The Minneapolis Park police officer, he arrived to assist while Floyd was already detained by Minneapolis PD. The video is heavily redacted and much of the audio is even muted throughout this video, but it's providing another perspective from the scene Monday night when police arrested Floyd for suspected forgery of a fake $20 bill at that convenience store right there we see in the video. Police say Floyd resisted arrest and they restrained him. And the now viral video of Floyd's last moments alive shows an officer with his knee on Floyd's neck for several minutes while he complains he cannot breathe. Well, Donald Williams was a bystander at the scene there and describes what he saw.
They said he was resisting arrest, and when he told me he was resisting arrest, I said, "Officer, he's not resisting arrest. You have your knee on him, and you have handcuffs on him. He is detained at this moment." Officer Todd proceeded to say, "Well, this is what drugs do to you, and that's not what drugs do to you. Drugs don't get you killed, by cops."
The new body cam footage comes as pressure is mounting on police and the city of Minneapolis to obtain justice for George Floyd.
Most African Americans don't have peace in our soul today after watching that video of this black man begging for his life, begging for breath. And the police so cavalier with his hand in his pocket, putting his knee on his neck for over 8 minutes, killing him. It's mind-boggling. It's unjustifiable. It's unnecessary. These are the people who are supposed to de-escalate. It seems like the general public, the lay people, were trying to de-escalate it while the police were escalating it. And that's what we have to change.
I spoke with Benjamin Crump there in the video. He represents Floyd's family, the family of George Floyd, the victim in this case, and he tells me that he thinks those officers, all four, should have been charged and arrested that night when it happened, Vinny. But today, law enforcement agencies from the state and federal level were releasing statements. They even held a press conference, a joint press conference, and updated on the latest on the investigation, but also saying they aren't going to rush to anything. They're asking for patience in the public. Let's look at one of the statements from the Justice Department. It said the investigation into Floyd's death is, quote, a top priority and has been assigned experienced prosecutors and FBI criminal investigators to the case. And, quote, the federal investigation will determine whether the actions by the involved former police officers violated federal law. It is a violation of federal law for an individual acting under the color of law to willfully deprive another person of any right protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. The FBI in a press conference today asked for the public's help in the investigation, asking them to come forward with any information they had, but no charges were filed today or announced today in that joint press conference that I referred to. However, the mayor of Minneapolis has been advocating for criminal charges, and in an emotional press conference today, he talked about how this incident has affected his city along with the police chief.
I believe in Minneapolis. I love Minneapolis. And in believing in our city, we must believe that we can be better than we have been. We must confront our shortcomings with both humility as well as hope. We must restore the peace so that we can do this hard work together. I want to know what George's girlfriend, Courtney, said about George. He was all about love and all about peace. He did not receive that love and that peace from our officers on the night of May 25th.
Well, I know that there is currently a deficit of hope in our city. And as I wear this uniform before you, I know that this department has contributed to that deficit of hope. But I will not allow to continue to increase that deficit by re-traumatizing those folks in our community. So I am committed to making sure that we restore peace and security in our community.
The city's leaders there are referring to the protests and riots erupting throughout the city of Minneapolis over the past couple of days, sparked by Floyd's death. In fact, the governor of Minnesota today signed an executive order activating the National Guard to help local authorities promote peace and security. And Vinny, as we all know, the 4 officers involved in the incident have been fired and terminated. Those officers were Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, Tu Toe, and Alexander King. The department has released their employee complaint profile cards, and Chauvin and Toe had previous complaints against them, Vinny. We are continuing to gain more information about those complaints, but the question on everyone's mind tonight is, will they face criminal charges?
And is there any timetable that was set out today at all, or is it just kind of wait and see at this point?
Just kind of wait and see at this point. Both the local prosecutor and the federal prosecutors today saying they are actively investigating both of those levels and doing so expeditiously, but they're asking for patience and even the public's help, Vinny. Any more videos that someone may have that they can consider in as evidence to consider charges. And again, there's different levels for federal and state, but no timetable as of this point right now.
All right, Chanley Painter, thank you so much. The other part of this story, of course, is the reaction, and we've seen it in the streets of Minneapolis, but there's also a family that is directly impacted by all of this. Let's bring in Julia Janae. She's got that part of the story for us tonight. Julia, what does the family want here? Like, there's no charges yet. I'm sure they want charges. What do they want to hear?
This family is specific and consistent in what they say they want to hear for not one, but all 4 of those officers. They want prosecutors to bring murder charges against all 4. And the brother of George Floyd, Philonise Floyd, he again today making an emotional plea and explaining how connected to the pain the people who had to witness this incident and who have watched this video share that same pain that their family does. Take a listen.
Nobody should have to witness that. And I understand and I see why a lot of people doing a lot of different things around the world. I don't want them to lash out like that, but I can't stop people right now because they have pain. They have the same pain that I feel. I want everything to be peaceful, but I can't make everybody be peaceful. I can't. It's hard.
What he's speaking about there, the hundreds that continue to flood the streets of Minneapolis and surrounding areas. And the protests, though many are peaceful, people who are showing their respect, they are putting up those you see there, memorial sites at the location where George Floyd died, but also in front of the police precinct. But the escalation of the violence for these protests is continuing. It continued last night. Again, the second night of violent protests there in the city. You see that Target there being looted. Also, the burning of buildings has been seen, and this is continuing. We hear that protests are being planned again for tonight. The city leaders begging for a calm. You also hear the family saying they want people to be peaceful, but we know that the National Guard has been called in to help protect this area. The spokespeople, Vinny, saying 20 different areas at the same time have been impacted by protests.
Julia, how about the reaction today from law enforcement around the country? You know, when we have cases like this, sometimes we don't hear much from law enforcement around the country. What are they saying?
Many police chiefs across this country have been vocal. They have been public about what they believe, what they saw when they watched that video. And it's clear that they feel that this was wrong and they are not being shy about calling it out. Let's first start in that area, the Twin Cities, St. Paul, the police chief there talking about how the people and police officers that he knows in that area reacted to seeing this video.
There was not one who felt that what they observed on that video in Minneapolis was in any way, shape, or form acceptable police behavior. It's disgusting. It's dehumanizing, and it's something that absolutely has to stop.
Another police chief in Chattanooga today, David Roddy, tweeting out that there is no need to see more video, no need to wait and see how it plays out, that this is something that happened for 9 minutes. This is a need to do something. If you wear a badge and you don't have an issue with this, he says to turn it in. Another tweet from Chief Chris McMangus in Tucson, Arizona, saying this is indefensible use of force that good officers everywhere are appalled by. It's contrary to how professional police officers train and conduct themselves. Conduct like this anywhere makes it more difficult for police everywhere to build community trust. So again, many of those police officers banding together and showing people that they agree with their pain and what they are reacting with, and they stand with them in solidarity with the decision of the police chief in that area to terminate these officers. But again, what is being called for by these protesters and by the family is for criminal charges.
You know, that word you said, solidarity, you know, we've covered many of these through the years, and we've seen many of them. Sometimes they, come in spurts, but it's very, very rare that it's been overwhelming. I can't find people that are saying, well, let's, we need to see more of a video or this, under certain circumstances that looked like it was okay. No one is really saying that.
You really don't see it. And in reporting on these officer-involved shootings and officer-involved killings, you really do see the police chiefs and different people in law enforcement really stepping back, wanting to say, let's wait, let's see where this goes. And also, you don't see the firings this quickly, often because of a collective bargaining agreement. They put the person on administrative leave or on desk duty. But in this situation, you're seeing a very swift response from not only the officials there in Minneapolis, but also the way officials are reacting across the nation.
Absolutely. Julie, Janae, great job. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour. Thank you so much.